Hello, this is Jack from Soholaunch, and in this video I'm going to explain how to create web forms and add them onto a page in your Soholaunch Ultra website. I'll also show you how to add them to the shopping cart. Web forms are useful if you need to gather certain information from your website visitors. And Soholaunch Ultra's form module allows you to make very customizable forms, so you can gather virtually any type of information. So to begin creating a form, I'll click the Web Forms module here, and then I'll enter a name for my form. And I'm going to create a pretty basic Contact Us form just to give you an example of how to make forms. So now that I've set a name, I can also configure additional preferences, and the main ones that you should be concerned with are the spam preferences. Generally the default are okay. You'll almost always want to have a verification field on your forms, and this will stop automated spam bots from sending you spam through your forms. And you can also block submissions that contain multiple links, and this is a hallmark of spam too. And you can also create a message that will appear in case there is spam. This may be good to have a message because if there's a false positive, your website visitor will know why their form was not submitted because it was flagged as spam. So now that I've given it a name, I'll click Create Form. So now that I've made my form, I can start adding fields to the form, and the fields are what the visitors will use to enter information. So to add a field, I'll click the Add Field button. And my first field will just gather the name of the visitor, so I'll select a single line text field. So now that I've added my field, I can configure the field and make it how I like it. To do that, I'll click the field. And the first thing I want to do is change the label for the field so the visitor knows what to put in there. So for this field, I want to get their name, so I'll say that. And you can also select whether to make the field required or not, and if it's required, then the visitor can't submit the information unless they've filled out this field. So since this is pretty important, I'll make it required. So next you can configure any style or formatting for the field. For this field you can set a character limit and also the width. So just in case my visitor has a really long name, I'm going to make the width of the field a little bit wider, and you'll see that the field has expanded. I'm pretty satisfied with this field, so I'll go ahead and quickly add fields for the visitor's email address and also their phone number. So since this is done the same way, I'm just going to quickly go through these. Next I'll add a different type of field. And you can see that Soholaunch Ultra has several different fields that you can use. You can use checkboxes or drop-down menus or radio buttons. For this option, I'm going to select radio buttons. And this field will help me determine which way the visitor would like to be contacted. So I'll go ahead and click that field and change the label for the field. And then for radio buttons and checkboxes and drop-down menus, you'll have to select which choices the visitor can select. This is not a type of field where they can enter any type of information they want. You actually have to configure the choices that they can have. So first, I'll give them the options to be contacted either by email or by phone. And since I don't need this third option, I can click the minus button to remove it. So now that I have my simple form completed, I'll click Save Changes, and the form's been saved. So now I can go ahead and add the form onto a page. So I'll go to the Pages area, and I already have a page created for this form called Contact Soholaunch. So I'll click Edit on that page, So now I want to add the form onto the page, and it's generally best practice to give the form its own row. And so this means you can't have anything to the left or right of the form. So what I'll do is grab the forms object and drag it onto a cell. And you'll see that another set of options is displayed. The first thing you'll want to do is select the form that you created from the drop-down menu. So I'll select the contact Soholaunch form that I've created. And the next options determine what you'd like to do with the submissions. If you want submissions emailed to you as soon as they're filled out, you can enter an email address that the submissions will get sent to. So for example's sake, I'll add an email address. And it's also a good idea to create a database table for the submissions. And this is pretty much a backup in case you don't get the email or something happens. And when you create a database, the form will automatically create a database in the database table manager as soon as the first form is submitted. So I'm going to create a database just named after the form. And the next option determines what you like to do after the visitor finishes filling out the form. A good idea is to direct them to a special page for that. I'm just going to direct them to the home page once they finish the form. And the last options determine what happens after the visitor gets the form done. And more specifically, it's what happens in the email that gets sent to them after they finish a form. And this email is just an auto-response email that says whatever you want. You can select the subject of the email, and then you can select a text file that you would like to use for the body content of the email, or you can just use the default content. So now that I'm satisfied with that, I will select Put Form on Page, and then I will save the page. And now I can view the page. And you'll see that my form is on the live website now. And you can see that all the fields I created are added onto that form. So now that I've shown you how to add it onto a page, I'm going to show you how to display a form when a visitor adds a product to the shopping cart. So first I'll open up the products area. And first I'll have to create a new product. Or you can select to add a form on products that you've already created. But for now I'll just create a new product. And you'll fill out the required product info for this product. And then once you finish filling out that information, you'll want to click the Advanced Options tab. And then after you go to the Advanced Options tab, you'll want to select which form to display after the customer adds this product to their cart. So that's under the drop-down menu that says when customers add this product to their cart, require form data from. And then from the drop-down menu, I'll select the form that I created. And there's two additional options. You can have the form display for each quantity of the product that the customer adds to the cart, or you can ignore the quantity and just have it appear once. It may be good to display a form in your cart in case you need to gather specific information from your customer. So for example, if you're selling embroidery, you may want to give the form for the customer so they can enter the type of initials that they want on the embroidery, or the color, or the style. Anything like that that's very customizable. So once I finish this, I'll save the product. So then when the customer checks out with that product, they'll have to enter that form information. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll talk to you again next time.